Welcome, Julian. We have with us Julian Parry, Head of Teaching Centre Network, British Council, India.
Hi.
Julian, what does the English language mean to you, personally and professionally?
Personally, obviously, I'm a native speaker English. Very lucky to have been born in the UK at a time when English is now a global language. So, it's given me a huge opportunity to travel, to work, etc. And to kind of interact with people all around the world. There's a huge hunger for English everywhere I've worked. I've worked in Africa, Asia, South Asia, Europe. Everyone seems to want to learn English. And, it gives an opportunity for us to kind of help people. At the conference this week, we've heard some people talking about English used for elitism. It's been a barrier, etc. But for India at the moment, I think one thing that we are seeing is we can use it to break down barriers, to help the peace process in Sri Lanka, for example, by getting people to talk to each other as a link language. It's becoming an economic necessity for pretty much everybody, I think, now to learn English. And I think David's book, quite interestingly, says, fairly soon, English isn't going to be enough. You're going to have at least 2 or 3 languages. So that's when I become slightly more worried, and the opportunity has gone for me. So.
What do you think, Julian, should be the status of English language within the education framework in India?
A very politically charged question. I know some people are very pro-English, some people are very anti-English. One thing I've always believed is that, there are multiple Englishes. So I speak a version of British English, Indian English. I think, it's well enough codified, it's standard enough that it is a language in itself. My teachers and I, when we interact with students, we don't say, oh no, you can't say that, that's Indian English. We say, okay, that's perfectly fine to someone who understands Indian English. If you've got a job interview for a multinational who want you to interact with foreigners, they may not like that, and they would prefer it if you said it this more international way. But, I think people worry too much that English is going to detract from their culture. It gives them more opportunity to explore other cultures. There is evidence that bilingual, multilingual children know more about their own culture and feel much more self-confident about their culture by learning about others as well.
You brought up this issue of various kind of Englishes. What is your take on the fact that what kind of English should be taught? Should one variety of English be promoted over others?
I think the key, if we're talking English to open access to global educational opportunities, work opportunities, and meetings of minds with other people from other cultures, internationally understandable English is enough. Often people worry far too much about quite small pronunciation issues. So I've been in India for 4 years now. You get people, the v, w sound, some people confuse, f, p, some people. And people really get hung up on this. But if it's not interfering with communication, why worry so much? Maybe 30 years ago, the BBC, you wouldn't hear anyone speaking differently. The newsreaders, etc., was very received pronunciation. We've moved on, and we've got lots of regional accents, lots of ethnic minority accents on the BBC News now. So why can't India just relax a little? It doesn't have to be the Queen's English.
Right. Talking about Project English, you have been part of the project since its very inception almost. You now head the Teaching Centre Network operations.
Yeah.
Will you just tell us a little bit about how teaching centres are shaping up?
Well, we've opened our first centre in Chennai last week, so it's been a very busy fortnight, as you can probably see. What we've done is we've looked at the needs of as broad a selection of Indian potential English learners as possible. And we've come up with 3 specific products. A kind of English Evolution, as we've called it, is a kind of general course that covers all aspects of English. We've got one for business people called English Executive. and one for people who want, they've kind of got some English, but they want to polish it maybe for a job interview or for a selection board for an MBA college, for example, and that's called English Impact. We've developed them, as I said, with expertise in India, so we're not kind of importing wholesale foreign courses and just using them here. We've looked at the market. We've been teaching in Delhi for 11 years, so we've used the experience we've gained there. And basically we have this kind of suite of products that can meet the needs of anyone from 16 to 90, depending on why they need to practice more English and how long they have to do or to learn, improve their English. For example, if you have an IELTS exam next week, you'll have very different needs to if you want to travel in 2 years. We've opened the first centre in Chennai. We've done everything we can to keep fees, I won't say they're cheap, but they're affordable and definitely value for money. The student feedback is things like, there's only one place to learn English in Chennai now. I wish I'd learned like this at school. You've unlocked my English. As I said, in Chennai at the moment. In a couple of months we're opening in Calcutta, and then March, April time we'll be opening in Hyderabad is the next one.
What's the long-term vision on teaching centres? What kind of numbers of students are you looking to reach out to? That sort of thing.
We'd expect maximum capacity at the end of the rollout programme to be about 70,000 individuals per year.
Right. And how many centres will you be opening up?
Well, we've currently got a presence in 9 cities.
Right.
So the current plan is to introduce our English courses in each of the cities where we currently operate.
Coming back to English for Progress, the third policy dialogue, what did you find most significant success of this particular conference?
I think the quality of speakers we've had. I mean, this is our third dialogue. Every year we get better at preparing it, producing it. I think it shows that over the 2 years since the official launch of the project, how much of an impact we have made, the kind of people that we're getting to come and talk at this event. Again, interesting things for me, I think, was the varieties of English, the large discussion on that. The when do we start teaching English? What age? Do we do the kind of serial monolingual teaching where it's mother tongue, then Hindi, then English, etc.? And lots of people are giving lots of input into the kind of issues. Yesterday, interestingly, the corporate sector was more in focus yesterday. Some of the phrases like ready to eat graduates, etc., felt a little uncomfortable as an educator.
Right.
I understand where the corporates are coming from, but I really do think they need to choose their words a little more carefully if they're not just seen as consuming young talent. Right.
The other very interesting phrase that I'd heard earlier is plug and play employees.
Like a USB stick.
I was about to sort of bring that question up, but you anticipated that. Thank you, Julian, very much. We were speaking to Julian Parry, Head of Teaching Centre Networks, British Council India.